Masturbation, mastication, material world tested masters patience, imagination breeds contemplation, civilization breeds constipation, like a moth to conflagration, penetration or conversation, celebration of third world nations, victimization by relegation, no coronation or annunciation, orchestration by assimilation, walk through fire, skin decorations, self-destructive humiliations, presidential improvisations, arrogance with boasted break-ins, Watergate's fresh accommodations, hubris with a hint of complacence, counterfeit coordination, scalpers set the new inflation, thankful for the consideration, but fuck the daily patronization, fucked intelligent design creation, fucking for the nomination, subliminal insubordination, impeccable incineration, predestination rewards castration, crop circled hallucinations, redefined premeditation, posterized by the Federation, free will bruised through introspection, undeniable dehumanization, probable cause of desperation, remortgaged through the vaccination, alternative manipulations, revisionist inoculations, unavoidable reformation, coast-to-coast individuation, stimulation or syncopation, disinformation dissemination, media wine with charmed vibrations, analytical subjugation, depopulation, the pressing question, sharpens the point of preservation, sanitize sense deprivation, thumbs up to elude hospitalization, reincarnation sparks a morbid fascination, missed a generation for lowered expectations, hunger, famine, and sterilization, publicized through approximations, the demographics of strangulation, inoperable equivocations, capitulate and achieve ascension as the trickle floods in one direction, just suggestions and juxtapositions, justice flavored with misconceptions, gravitational alterations, psychological discrimination, space invader vivisection, a deeper seated syndication, rebirth to rebuff tradition, gentrified by television, repo man's reverberation, momentary hypertension, reaper off his medication, sanctified miseducation, science fiction denomination. This is not a correlation. This is far from meditation. This is more an indication of post-dementia generations, melodrama's motivation, disillusion navigation, centripetal acceleration, blame it on the application, blame is all dissociation, blame with fame's illumination, blamed before the augmentations. Was it worth the wrongful termination? Preoccupation with frustration, sexual incomputation, existential reparations. There you go. I made the note yesterday to read this before I talk about anything else. Kind of the opposite of how I usually do things. I'll talk for an hour, 2 hours, and then I'll get to the point of my recording. Today's talk is about a song called Master's Hubris, which I just read. I classify it as hip-hop, rap, spoken word poetry. What do I hear as the music? Some kind of weird claustrophobic noise that makes you get uncomfortable, like the Velvet Underground does with songs like Heroin, which heroin's weird for me. The Velvet Underground, sometimes I love it, sometimes it like makes me feel weird. But I like the Swans. You stay with the song through this droning element of seduction, whether it's in a dark way or a sexual way. This is more of a psychological, disturbing stream of consciousness. And this is one of my favorites. I took a lot of time when I wrote this. Yeah, it's all got the same rhyming pattern in terms of the syllables, mastication, patience, contemplation, constipation, conflagration, conversation, nations, relegation, enunciation, assimilation, skin decorations, humiliations, improvisations, boasted break-ins, accommodations, complacence, coordination, new inflation, consideration, patronization, creation, nomination, insubordination, incineration, castration, hallucinations, premeditation, federation, introspection, dehumanization, desperation, vaccination, manipulation, inoculation, reformation, individuation, syncopation, dissemination, charmed vibration, subjugation, question, preservation, deprivation, hospitalization, fascination, expectation, sterilization, approximation, strangulation, equivocation, ascension, direction, juxtaposition, misconception, alteration, discrimination, vivisection, syndication, tradition, television, reverberation, hypertension, medication, miseducation, denomination, correlation, meditation, indication, generation, motivation, navigation, acceleration, application, dissociation, illumination, augmentation, termination, frustration, computation, reparation. So I did put a lot of time into this one. As I'm trying to pick songs that I want to talk about, this one instantly hit me. Like, remember that time you tried to make 20 verses or 20 bars? I don't know what a bar really is in terms of the hip hop bar, that definition. Sometimes I'll just make a challenge to myself. You have to write 20 stanzas of 4 lines per stanza. That's what I did for this one, I think. Yeah, 20. And I wanted to make it different than my usual spoken word stuff. That's why I went this direction in terms of the rhyming scheme, or the very monotonous way I read through this. It's the first time I read this out loud, maybe ever. But it is something I would read at like a poetry reading, so it is hip hop in my mind, because I want that, the spirit of it. I'll get into that more. Years ago, I bought the KRS-One book, The Gospel of Hip Hop. I tried to read it when I first got it, and it was like, man, I can't read this. If it reads like some weird spiritual manifesto, and I wasn't into it. I was like, I got through maybe 10, 20 pages, and I'm like, I don't know where this is going. Maybe I'll come back later. And it took me maybe 2 years, but I read the first 100 pages yesterday. It was good. If you stick with it, it becomes very satisfying. Because I'm not a hip hopper, the way he terms it in the book, the hip hoppers and the spirituality of hip hop, how it represents a one love of culture and blood and philosophy. He's talking about in New York in the early days of hip hop, when they had jams, these free events where all these people would get together from all races, culture. He was talking about there's Rastafarian, Satanist, Jewish people, black people, white people, from every creed. They would just get together, have these jams, I guess in the 70s or 80s, early 80s maybe, when hip hop was first coming into existence. And talking about the spiritual flow of it, not just the politics, not just the gangster rap portion or the diss tracks that people enjoy. There is a different element to hip hop that I didn't really put into a philosophy until I started reading the book yesterday. It's 800 pages, so I figured I'll take it 100 pages at a time so I don't feel overwhelmed by it. It is like reading a Bible, because that's how he wrote a lot of it like that. If KRS-One is the main author, I don't know. But I'm going to go through some of the lines that I highlighted, because I have like 5 rap albums. I'm going to go through my first one maybe in a couple days, go through every song. Digital Incineration, it's hip hop, it's weird funk at times, but it's mostly rap stuff. A song like this, I'm not really rapping it like an Eminem or Snoop, that kind of flow. I don't have a flow really. I'm just trying to get some emotion out in my otherwise monotonous voice that I need to develop a better stream to immerse the audience in what I'm trying to get out, the emotion, the atmosphere I want. Rapper's Delight, I guess that's one of the earliest ones. It's a fun beat. It's a fun song. Super Sperm. If you can have super sperm in a song and it still like has a relevance, you're doing something right. My super sperm. So I'm not going to pretend to be a hip hopper. Like I never been to a hip hop concert, but there's a lot of genres I never really saw live. It's not just hip hop. I don't dress like a hip hopper, like that general style, because there is a whole style to that genre of music. Um, I don't know the lingo very well. I never even knew what John meant in Philly. John, that's like a word people use as a slang word for years and years. I never even knew what it fucking was until somebody had to explain it to me. Wawa was doing ads years ago. It's all about that John or some shit like that. And I'm like, what the fuck is John? It's like jaundice. I still don't really know what it means. What the fuck does John mean? Like, it's all about that thing. John, slang, John supply. It's a Philadelphia area slang, even according to Google. It's a substitute for any person, place, thing, or event. Like thingamajig or whatchamacallit. Alright, so I'm not that far off. Hand me that John over there. Are you going to the concert John tonight? That's like weird. That's like two nouns. Check out that John. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I guess it came from the New York hip hop slang word joint in phrases like that's the joint. That's interesting how language flows even from New York to Philly. That's the joint. Isn't that Beastie Boys? Beastie Boys, that's the joint. I think that's a song. I guess that's a part of that. I'm going to try to sound intelligent about hip hop today, since this is kind of a tribute. Yesterday was kind of Shake Your Rump. That's the song. No, That's the Joint is a song by the group Funky 4+1. Yeah, I've never even heard of that before. Maybe I have, from 1980. So that's really early hip hop. Which, Sugar Hill Records, okay. Rolling Stone listed That's the Joint at number 288 on the 500 greatest songs of all time. Also on Pitchfork 500, number 47. Best hip hop song of all time. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't know the history of hip hop that well. I watched that show on Netflix that kind of traced the founding moments of DJ culture and graffiti culture. Because even in the KRS-One book, he's writing about how it's all connected, the aesthetics, the fashion, the language, just the overall spirit of it. It's not just about pimps and hoes and shit like that. There's a universality to the hip hop religion because he really is. I'm not being like exaggerating. He wrote this Gospel of Hip Hop, 2009, I think it was. When I bought it, I didn't know it was 800 pages. I was like, holy shit, this really is like a religious text. I don't know if I can get through this. So that's why I decided yesterday just to take it 100 pages at a time. It's not crazy difficult to read, but he mentions people's names. So I kind of want to look up these old hip hop founding fathers and mothers. But it's pretty good so far. The beginning didn't capture my imagination, but by maybe page 30 or 40, it was getting more in detail about stuff, and I was getting more interested in it. I did list my favorite hip hop albums in my book during one of my talks like this. One of my prefaces, I'm trying to justify to myself why I feel like I can write rap songs, because I never did that until I was 40. It's not like I didn't enjoy it. I was a casual rap fan, like I'm a casual heavy metal fan. I went to Ozfest when I was a teenager, probably. One time, that's the only time I saw heavy metal live with like Rammstein and bands like that. I think Ozzy was there. I don't think it would be Ozfest without Ozzy. But it was a weird experience. I'm not really into heavy metal that much. I said I would mention that Wu-Tang FX series because that was really good. That got me into hip hop more because I could relate to those people in some degree. I'm not out in the streets selling drugs or getting shot, nor do I want to be. But in that first episode, I think something like that happens, but then just the struggle to make music as a DIY approach, because that's what they did. They gotta, if that's all true, all the events in that story, the way they recorded the first album in like some apartment, and they tried to soundproof it, and they had like a production booth for people to rap inside. The way the guy wrote the beats, and everyone kind of had conflicts at times. The process of making music, just from a creative angle, was done very, very well in that show. The FX series, Wu-Tang. I don't know why I watched it a couple years ago. I figured I'd give it a shot, and it was addicting. FX series, Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang, an American Saga. Yeah. It's really good. I would recommend it. It's on Hulu. I think that's where I got it. 3 seasons, 30 episodes. It's better in the beginning when you see the struggle. They're struggling to even get their song on the radio because they had to do that back in that time. There was no streaming service, streaming platforms or networking like that. You had to go directly to the radio and find some in kind of like that movie Airheads with Adam Sandler. And who's the other dude? Buscemi's in that too, right? And I can't think of the other guy. That was a big movie for me as a kid, Airheads. They take over the radio station. They try to get their demo played. I got to watch that again to get some nostalgia back. It's actually a really good premise. Like, I like that premise. It could be like a Dog Day Afternoon, or that John Q with Denzel, where his kid needs some medical attention and he doesn't have health insurance. You take over the system, man. You make the system what you want. Yeah, I'm not going to get all preachy today. Last night I listened to my talk yesterday, and I wasn't angry at it. I'm talking about my life as a virgin. I'm still a 44-year-old virgin with no money, no real confidence in my life right now. And I'm fine with that. I don't care about the sex so much. Or the people's perception of me as a fucking 44-year-old virgin, like that movie. I don't care about that shit. I more care about that I can't provide anything, I can't create anything in my current reality. This is all I can do, get my thoughts out in the hopes of somebody connecting with me. It's tougher if you want to do it yourself. Wu-Tang was like an army. They were like an army. They were able to really grasp the imagination of large audiences. I'm not a huge fan. I did go through most of their albums, and it's not bad. A lot of people say the first one is like a revolutionary type of an album, the way it was done. Enter the Wu-Tang. I like the connection to the whole Kung Fu thing, the Shaolin Temple. That's cool. Even in the book KRS-One, it's talking about Bruce Lee, how he was such an influential figure on inner city culture in that time period. More than I even thought. Like, he was like a really respected hero to a lot of hip hop people. I kind of remember hearing stuff like that. Maybe because of the Wu-Tang connection to the Shaolin Temple. That's a big part of that series too. Kind of like where they get their code of ethics or code of morals. It was coming from that, along with other religious stuff. But it's a good show. I wanted to mention Wu-Tang, even though I'm not a huge knowledgeable fan. I can definitely listen to it. I don't think it's bad. Liquid Swords, I think that was my favorite one. Liquid Swords. Yeah, by 1995. That was probably my favorite one. And there's also a story about how they lost a lot of their recordings in a flood. They show that in the episode in the series, maybe season 2. because it was in the 90s where you still had disc and all that shit got lost, so the guy had to like remake everything. Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff. It's definitely worth making 3 seasons about. I think maybe it got a little weaker towards the end of it, but the whole business side of it with WooWare, they get into the business side of that, and when they finally succeed, maybe the story gets a little boring, but the path to success is really, really well done to show how to deal with the politics of the music industry, because they had to get in there. They started off doing it themselves. That's why it was so raw, I guess. But eventually they had to immerse themselves in the world of record labels, studio executives, and touring and shit. And there was a lot of interesting, because they are like an army. How many people are in Wu-Tang? Like, a lot of people. It's hard to keep everybody happy. They were all doing their own individual records, and it became like a really stressful thing at one of those times. Wu-Tang members, like, you just look at how many people became. I think Ghostface Killah, his stuff I've connected to more than anybody. I've never really gave Method Man, Old Dirty Bastard a chance to really listen to their individual stuff, but Ghostface Killah, the one he did with Adrian Young, was an album I found years ago that I really liked. If I can find that to give it credit. It's like Different Ways to Die, 12 Ways to Die or something. At least let me, like, I'm admitting I'm not a big scholar for hip hop, but there are some albums that really connected to me, like Liquid Swords. That one really hit me. And you could have really a lot of fun with it, even though I don't understand a lot of it. Ghostface Killah, Adrian, I think that's his name. Adrian Young. 12 Reasons to Die, yeah. 12 Reasons to Die was in 2013. And it's got other Wu-Tang members in it as well, but it's really good. It's a concept album, which is probably why I like it. If you look at the cover of it, it's like a horror movie. Ghostface Killah and Adrian Young came out April 16th, 2013. It's very good. Maybe there's another one too, like a sequel, maybe. Is that? I think there is. I'm not sure what it is. But anyway, yeah, I don't know a lot of terms to really go farther than that. I'm not the guy to talk about hip hop to educate somebody. I need more education on it. 12 Reasons to Die was 2015. Yeah, there's a second one, yeah. So there's 12 Reasons to Die in 2013, 12 Reasons to Die Part 2 in 2015. There's also another one I like, but I don't remember what it's called. Alright, I'm not going to do a lot of research right now since I didn't do this beforehand. But yeah, I like the flow of a lot of that stuff. Alright. So this album, this song, Masters Hubris, the one I just read when I started this talk, it's called Paradigm Shift. The cover of it came from a picture I took on one of my road trips. I took a road trip down south maybe 15 years ago to New Orleans from New Jersey. I took like a week, 2 weeks off from work and just said, fuck, I need to take a road trip. So I went down to New Orleans and I stopped along the way at all these places, but I took the scenic route, like through the Blue Ridge Mountains, driving through the farm, the rural countryside. It's probably my favorite way to escape. You go to the Blue Ridge Mountains and drive that, and it's instantly a spiritual type of feeling, unless you do it every day. I guess you get used to it. Somebody like myself who doesn't get out much, especially these days, that was my favorite thing to do. Go to the Blue Ridge Mountains, West Virginia, sometimes drive through the Monongahela, is that what it's called? Skyline Drive, maybe once or twice. I would just rent a car and just go and have that total freedom like that. It's something I need in my life again. If I do finally get a job, I'm going to take a bus across the country because I can't really have a car right now. And at least I could escape in a bus and find some kind of adventure like that. Hopefully I don't end up in a bad situation. But that's my plan. I don't want to take a plane flight. I'd rather just take a bus for 2 days and go to the West Coast like that. Or a train, whatever I can find cheaper and most convenient. I think a bus ride was like $350, $400. So it's something I'm thinking about. But the cover of Paradigm Shift, this is another album I wrote in 2024 around the same time as Weaponized Sex. It has a scarecrow on the cover riding like a deer or whatever this animal was. I can't remember. I'm looking at the picture now. So I took this picture and then I turned it into some weird painting art through digital paint programs. But it is from a photograph that I took along my road trip, because I took like hundreds of pictures along the way, especially of scenic stuff, Blue Ridge Mountain stuff. It was a fun experience. I would say more than anything, if you feel stuck in life like I do right now, and you have the ability to do it, because not a lot of people do. I did back then because I had a job, I had a car, even though I would rent a car so I wouldn't put a lot of miles on my car. I would just rent a car and drive south because it's more country down there. I guess I could drive to New Hampshire or Maine and have the same effect, but I feel like the South is better climate. I did make it to Florida one time, just the upper Gulf Coast, when I went to New Orleans. And yeah, it's a very good time for me, very good memories, around 2011 or so. I wrote a handful of songs from that road trip as I'm driving around by myself, because I'm doing this on the solo with nobody else. Walking around New Orleans drunk, walking around Nashville all drunk, because I did stop in Nashville for one night. And it was a good experience, man. That's the most free you can be the farther you go from your home life. And for me, it's easier, I guess. Back then I had no kids. I had a job, but I was able to take vacation time. So that's where this album came from. The album cover, a lot of the concepts in this are kind of political. Paradigm Shift is the title of it. Yeah, I know I talk about religion and politics a lot in my songs, lyrics, and just in my stupid talks like this. Yesterday I was trying to be funny about Mormon magic underwear and other Scientology things. If it makes me sound like some cynical asshole, then fine. But I feel like even religious people have a sense of humor. I was a Catholic for a long time. I don't practice anything at this point because it's just not a part of my life. But if I was a Catholic and somebody made fun of me for some belief, I wouldn't give a shit. I realize religion comes with a lot of interesting territory, fairy tale stuff, and people believe what they want to believe to survive in the flock. So if people are offended by things I try to be funny about, the magic underwear joke about Mormons, whatever, it's not even funny really, but it's been used for like 20 years, so I'm just repeating garbage of other people. I'm not creating anything new here. If anything, I was defending Scientology, saying how people will criticize Scientology as a cult because of past stories and past members who give an expose, famous people who leave their religion kind of make money off their podcast and documentaries like that. At least it was a while ago. Leah Remini and other people. But I'm giving Scientology more credence or more of a legitimacy by saying you can't criticize Scientology because your own, whatever religion you are, probably has some crazy, questionable material. I don't want to say crazy. Believing that aliens came down and did whatever they did in connection to science fiction of Hubbard. I don't even know what it is, so obviously I'm not educated to speak about it. If I was interviewing a Scientologist, I would just have them speak because I don't know anything about it. Just like Islam, Judaism, any other religion, I barely know Christianity, Catholicism. I'll talk about that more because I went to Catholic school. I feel a little bit more comfortable discussing it. But yeah, I'm very stupid when it comes to this stuff. I'm trying to be real. With these talks, I'm trying to be unfiltered and real so people don't think I'm fake. That's just the punk ethos. That's a hip hop type of a way to do things. Keeping it real. It's also in country music. There's the outlaw country that kind of was like against that status quo cookie cutter country music. You could find it anywhere. You could find it in any philosophy, any religion. There's a line of cynicism where you can be an asshole. I don't think I got there. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I do believe in what the KRS-One connection to this book, that, we're all in this together for the pursuit of art and just for the pursuit of happy life. The movement, like he's really going crazy drama about the saga of hip hop. Like the Wu-Tang was an American saga. I don't know what it's like to live in the inner city. You probably feel even more helpless, more hopeless. Opportunities aren't really around you. You might be living in really bad areas with violence and drugs, and yeah, it's not a good way to raise your kids, I guess. I don't know what the answers are. I don't know what the root of it all is. I can't get that deep about inner city politics. I just don't have the legitimacy to talk about it. But I do feel I have the legitimacy to try to write rap songs because I'm not writing about that stuff. I'm trying to write about stuff that affected my life in that style. I'm using hip hop as a vehicle to get some words out. My hip hop songs, my rap songs, spoken word, whatever you want to call it, they're the most wordy with the most metaphors, or my attempt to write metaphors and stuff. I don't think I'm always successful of being that creative, but in my preface, I shared a line from another song, The Church of Nihilism. One half designed by prophets and kings, one half squeezed to ponder the sting, what's left to rescind, what's right to forgive, immunity screened and incarcerated. I think I write decent enough verses and some emotional impact, but it is because it's true to a lot of shit I was going for. This one is more spoken word, but some of them do have more of a melodic flow. Like this song is called Laugh Tracks. Don't hate the script, can't shade the writer. Leverage the thoughts floating higher and higher, keeping you up, taking names, criticizing every anxious, deceitful revival. Propaganda speaks for itself. Dramatized nation, now fend for yourself. Hypnotized by the stereotypes. Bandaged the pride, now wrinkles the spine. Consciousness streamed in a vice. Hands tied, laughter precise. Clockwork orange, bloodwork disguised. Divided, degraded, despised. Fuck my flow, what Bo didn't know. Daylight keeps the promises dulled. Buried in desert so cold. Raised by casino remorse. Blinded twice to see the whole. Timing incomparable, moribund and vulnerable, prime time for the creditors. I'm trying to get a flow. This is the first time I've looked at this song in a long time. but I'm trying to develop some style that I can do and not piss people off, have people boo me, because I'm going to have to do these by myself. And also putting humor in it because I'm a weird person to try to write rap music. Blood from the birthstone, sex from delusion, spies in your console, abuse with no safe word, fucked every couch roll, then beat Sonic the Hedgehog, cold wars and bed sores, dreams from the slumlord. I'm trying to incorporate some of my own, if you want to call it whiny, embarrassing, whatever, man. I'm just a person trying to make a buck from my stupid art shit. I'm being glib. I'm being kind of not as serious as I should be when I talk about my art. I always say I'm just sharing my stupid stories, but in reality, they're all stupid. Is anything going to change your life? Any song, a song has the power to save someone's life. I do believe that, not as a cheesy thing to say, but I believe music does have that power. When people are down on their luck, maybe they hear a song, somebody shares something with them, they see a live street performer, something clicks, and I think there is some truth to that. When people go on fancy podcasts and they ask, what are your desert island discs? You hear the real passion in these people's voices about the music that got them through life. Radiohead, Hail to the Thief, that was a big album for me, dealing with very complicated political issues. And a band like Radiohead goes to punk rock in a way with their lyrics. Wolf at the Door. There's some crazy stuff on that album. 2 + 2 = 5. Fly Me to the Moon. Hail to the Thief. If that was Radiohead's only album, they would be considered like one of the best bands ever. A band like Radiohead has it tough because they're always trying to live up to their last one. From OK Computer on, or the Bends on. Like, how do we get better? How do we make more of an impact? Keep our fans happy. But if Hail to the Thief was Radiohead's only album, there would be like this mysterious band from the UK, and that would be one of the most amazing albums ever. They get kind of points taken off because OK Computer is their masterpiece, or Kid A. But Hail to the Thief might be their best album. Like, I'm not just saying that to be to seem more complicated. Like, I know music better than other people. I can't think of the word I'm trying to say there. I'm not just saying that to have a hot take or something. Hail to the Thief is absolutely genius in the music and words, the production, the album cover. It's an all-time album. If OK Computer, Kid A didn't exist, that would be their masterpiece widely. I think people fall in love with an album like OK Computer, rightfully so. It's also a perfect album that I grew up with. I bought OK Computer and MXPX Life in General on CD like the same day. And those two albums are still in my top 20. Like, it's hard to do that 30 years later. And two of my favorite albums are from my youth when I was 13. There is nostalgia to it, but the music is still really good. MXPX Life in General, I didn't mention it too much yesterday when I was talking about punk rock, but that was like the first one that got me into fast, palm muted power chords. And OK Computer got me into maybe concept albums and weird melodramatic singing. And I don't know, Radiohead's a weird band to kind of analyze. I think they do that purposefully. They just want to make cool music, and they don't care really about the image and all that stuff. Not that they're not grateful. They seem to be very humble people that really know that they got lucky to make it, but they deserve it as well. They were able to do what they wanted to do because people respected them as artists. There's a difference between a band like that and just commercial, corporate, plastic, cardboard stuff. So this album is fun to go back to. Maybe I could go through one more song a little bit if anything hits me. Um, Maybe I want to go that one. Masters Hubris, the one I began this talk with, the song I'm talking about today. What I want to do is to evolve this song because this is the evolution of a song, part 5. Masters Hubris, but really I just want to talk about something for an hour or so. So I feel like I'm doing something productive today. I'm probably going to read another 100 pages of the KRS-One book. I'm going to try to put my book together. Maybe put it on Amazon today or tomorrow. But I like doing these talks in the morning, right after I eat something, to get some thoughts out of my head that probably need to get out. When I made this idea last night, I was writing in my calendar, begin the talk by shouting the lyrics of Masters Hubris. Masturbation, mastication, material world test the master's patience. Imagination breeds contemplation. Civilization breeds constipation. Like a moth to conflagration. Penetration or conversation. Celebration of third world nations. Victimization by relegation. I was going to do it more in that style. Almost like Anthrax. Or like rock and roll rap where they Rage Against the Machine style. Rage Against the Machine, another band that I don't know how to really classify them. Heavy metal, hip hop, punk rock. They're elements of all that shit. Folk music. Dun, 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 dun. There's so many good riffs on the first album. When I was in freshman in high school, we had to make a video of some American history thing. So we used I had some Native American figures from my youth, like those old army men you would buy at the grocery store, those green men. But I had like Native Americans. So me and like 2 other of my friends, we put this like weird video together. I wish I still could watch it today. And we used it. We were trying to show the genocide of the Native Americans, which in reality is pretty punk rock to do in a Catholic school that was all about manifest destiny. Yeah, we were bucking the system, man. We're real Catholic rebels. So we set up this scene on like my basement table, and then we used a hair dryer, blow dryer to like show the symbolic as all these figures of Native Americans got blown off the table. And then in the background, we were playing Rage Against the Machine, Know Your Enemy, all of which are American dreams, all of which are American dreams. 13 years old, you hear Rage Against the Machine's debut, and you're like, this is absolutely the craziest thing ever invented. Tom Morello still, there was a video showing his son playing some heavy metal Randy Rhoads thing. It's really cool. Like an athlete passes down their athletic code to their kids, their DNA. Like the Sydney McLaughlin, I think her parents were athletes. But Tom Morello is passing on his musical passion to his teenage kid. It's really cool when you see stuff like that. But Tom Morello had a pretty big influence, not on my guitar playing because I'm more acoustic, even though he does the Night Watchman, which I think is primarily acoustic. I never really gave it that much time. But I picture Tom Morello as the ghost of Tom Joad with Bruce Springsteen at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that concert from a long time ago, where him and Springsteen are performing together, doing crazy solos together. That's the Tom Morello I think of with the electric guitar, like a turntable, doing things that nobody ever did before. But he's an interesting figure politically. That whole band, I'm sure, like Rage had only 3 or 4 albums. One of them might have been covers, Maggie's Farm and songs like that. That's kind of when I lost interest, or I lost my focus in Rage. But the Battle of Los Angeles and the first album, Evil Empire, it's kind of hit and miss for me. But Tom Morello had a good quote on one of his podcasts, or he was on a podcast with somebody else, and he's like, his guiding political principle is always be on the side of the weak and vulnerable or the oppressed. Keep it as simple as that. Don't get involved with left and right. Don't get involved with capitalism versus communism. All these feuds that never really go anywhere. You just look at it from a case by case thing. Who is the oppressed side in whatever conflict? What are the reasons for this oppression? And you kind of side with the oppressed people. That's kind of what religion brought me up as in the Catholic faith. They kind of did put that into your head that, you know, you should fight for the underdog, the David versus Goliath story. But yeah, Rage Against the Machine, I figured I needed to talk a little bit about them because they were a big influence as a teenager. Nothing got crazier than Rage Against the Machine. I never got into Slayer and satanic heavy metal. Rage Against the Machine was the most metal. I tried to listen to Pantera. I never got into that. Maybe today I would like it more, but I like the melodies of Rage Against the Machine, the flow of the lyricist. It's so aggressive. Know Your Enemy is probably my favorite overall song. I did try to cover a Rage song in my acoustic way. I forget what song it was. The Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. Renegades of Rock, is that what it is? I forget now. Battle of Los Angeles, or is it for Los Angeles? Battle of Los Angeles. Track list. I want to look that up real quick. Guerrilla Radio, I think that's what it was, yeah. Or no, I'm sorry. This album is so good. Testify, Guerrilla Radio, Calm Like a Bomb. Sleep Now in the Fire is the song I tried to do. Well, I did do it, but it wasn't that good. It's on my Substack somewhere. War Within a Breath, Ashes in the Fall. Yeah, this is a perfect album. The Battle of Los Angeles from 1999. It's a perfect album. Sleep Now in the Fire. I'll read the lyrics to that since that's one of my favorite Rage songs. The world is my expense, the cost of my desire. Jesus bless me with its future, and I protect it with fire. Raise your fist and march around. Just don't take what you need. I'll jail and bury those committed and smother the rest in greed. Crawl with me tomorrow, or I'll drag you to your grave. I'm deep inside your children. They'll betray you in my name. Sleep now in the fire. I am the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, the noose and the rapist, the field's overseer, the agents of Orange, the priest of Hiroshima, the cost of my desire. Sleep now in the fire. I tried to do this in my own style, and it was all right, I guess. I did another series back when I had an acoustic guitar and I was living in my apartment, my musical DNA, and I picked this song. I needed to pick a Rage song. Even though Know Your Enemy is my favorite, I know I couldn't do that song. I think there's a video with Denzel Curry doing that song, and it's pretty damn good. I don't have that testosterone level, man. It is like you have to train for it. Know Your Enemy lyrics, Rage. Yeah, this is more of a up-tempo, fuck all, man. Born with insight and a raised fist, the witness to the slit wrist. That's with, as we move into 92, still in a room without a view. You got to know, you got to know. That's when I say go, go. Amp up and amplify, defy. I'm a brother with a furious mind. Action must be taken. We don't need the key, we'll break. And something must be done about vengeance, a badge, and a gun. Because I'll rip the mic, rip the stage, rip the system. I was born to rage against them. Fist in your face in the place, and I'll drop the style clearly. Know your enemy. Yeah, it's good. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but it's pretty. As a 13-year-old kid, reading these lyrics or listening to this album on a cassette, yeah, it's gonna fuck you up, man, in a good way. Is it Denzel Curry or am I making that up? Know your enemy. I just want to make sure I'm not making that up completely. No, I don't think Denzel Washington. Denzel Curry, right? Is that his name? Did I say Murray? Maybe I got it wrong. There's a cover from somebody. Know Your Enemy cover. Now I gotta figure this out, or it's gonna annoy me. But people who grew up in I'm 44, so when this album came out, the first Rage album, I was like just in high school. Know Your Enemy rap cover, or just cover version. Yeah, I can't find it. It was some kind of a rapper that did this song, and it was very good. I think I did share it the last time I talked about Rage, but whatever. I can't find it right now. Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out though. Maybe it was a different song. Maybe it was like Bomb Track or something. That's a tough song to cover. Well, any Rage song. Yeah, Denzel Curry covers Rage Against the Machine. Bulls on Parade. All right, it wasn't Know Your Enemy, but he does a good job with Bulls on Parade. Like a version. Look that up. Denzel Curry. So I tried to do an acoustic version, and I don't want to talk about this for any longer, and it wasn't that good. I practiced for a couple hours, tried to learn the lyrics and make it in my own style. That was my series back then, my musical DNA. I had to give tribute to Rage because they were influential. Maybe I just picked the wrong song for myself. I'm trying to develop some kind of flavor, and it's tougher for me because I'm trying to branch out into punk rock, into regular rock, Jack White rock, Joni Mitchell songs, Carole King songs. I'm trying to write spoken word like Velvet Underground, Vinnie Paz, that rapper from Philly. I'm trying to write stuff like that, going as any corner of artistic expression. Like this is the Church of Nihilism song. Oh, this one has a bit of a melody. Losing my mind just to pass the time, sadistic, seductive, reanalyzed, the pinnacle of dependency. Deeper you breathe, the longer you see. Through enemies past the looking glass, where Alice takes the safer path, turned her cheek and then turned her back. A life possessed by psychopaths, narcissistic curriculum, wasted skin as the pendulum, swing but never anticipates. Settle down and enjoy your fate. Self-defense above your pay grade, like concubines with no upgrades. Updates, uppercuts, and upswings. Taste for blood as the bell rings. The fight inside most inviting. Wrong or right, it's always arriving. Devotion weakens the conquest. Solitude for the outcast. Verse 2. Trekking a path as the nights collapse. Testaments of insomniacs. Abandoned, polluted, systemic release. Voodoo never tasted so sweet. Emotion replaced by sanctimony. Familiar refrains but different routines. Death at face value assesses the price. Rain check on Valium, the whole of a life. One half designed by prophets and kings. One half squeezed to ponder the sting. What's left to rescind, what's right to forgive. Immunity screened and incarcerated. Damaged words to wrestle the fates. Power lost without a debate. Open up and greet your oppressor. Fear and love sequester together. And when the features form a little clearer, smile eye to eye as you headbutt the mirror. Fire in the lungs, souls disappear. Sunshine on the brain, 7 years adhered. It's kind of a quick spoken word bit there, but there's more of a flow than the one I did in the beginning of this. This is Four on the Floor. I didn't think I was going to go through all these songs, but maybe I need to do that to kind of practice. This song is called Four on the Floor. Serendipity, the envy of enmity, competitive piety, to forge an identity, revisionist diatribes, starvation for mountain highs, like senators trimming fat, policing for sycophants, saluting the false flags, bitter annulments, Byzantine controls, pay to play mortals, farm to play dust bowl, now licking the can good, vacuous visions, virulent villains, wilderness sizzling, shake off the regret, like indigent embers with inclement presets. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Do I want to continue this? This one's faster. Paradigm Shift Part 2. Do I want to go through this real quick? I think I remember this. It's good that I remember how the flow goes because I haven't looked at this in like years. Paradigm Shift Part 2. Back inside the farce, held up like a leviathan, mistaken for a myth, keeps pressing for some higher spin. Typical delays, tone deaf like a lobotomy. Synesthesia, no gripping this reality. Paradigm shift, still working on redundancies, like an atlas bug tracking each and every part of me. Step outside, watch the days cave in, like your future past without presentiment. Reverse contaminants, sped like an ambulance. Attract like opposites, deranged but promising. This is the hook. Whenever I write a hook, I'm like, I hear just female singers. Streamline metabolism, picking up, freedom to endeavor, picking up. That's kind of how that song goes. Firebrand. All right, this one's kind of, I use a quote from Repo Man on one of these tracks. The final track on this album, Paradigm Shift, is called Phantom Sparks. And it starts off pretty good. Fuck all day like a cure for cancer. Fuck all night to avert disaster. Fake as fuck, but it's a thought that matters. One of these nights on a silver platter. One day righteous, next committed. Asylum run as the world keeps spinning. Horoscopes grease the id to function. Horror scope every reproduction. Greet the world with the birth of ego. Name as proud as the ancient credo. Feign the crown, instigate the season. Run the hive and await the treason. Memory crash like a lightning struck. Fortunes confined to the criminal. Ignorance draped by legalities. Last time spent on formalities. Resuscitate if the demons conquer. Spiritual takes on creature comforts. Evil springs upon the gutted. Track like lambs before the summons. Did you make it this far? Is it time to move on? There's a hook that I'm not going to try to sing right now. This is when the rapper would take a breath. I can't sing and do this shit. I can barely get through the spoken word parts. Haunted vines and taunted terrors, populists and infiltrators, peaceful nights for manic slumber, assassinations by the numbers, the birth of the cool to start anew, interest accrued to charm the fool, witchcraft confused for aptitude, true as the dark side of the moon. Idiot takes a break to unwind, idiot saves some breath for the rise, painful roles we lost in the fire, suffered for the rampant denial, stride ahead to spade the past, words as distant from the axe, when poured out quickly be the vessel, let love provide the final gesture, final wisdom, final mission, 2020 primal vision, singled out for the singularity, kept the thinking to the minimum. So it's kind of interesting to go through these lines again. I kind of still remember what they're about, and I'm kind of like, I don't really know what I'm talking about. This is my headspace from 2020 to 2024. I'm still not completely out of that line of thought, but it's not as fresh as it used to be. But I think I have some cool lines here. My delivery would have to really become something different. I'm not trying to copy anybody else. I just want to make something interesting enough that people would listen to. I don't have any real machismo inside of me. I try to sometimes. I try to develop like almost a split personality because you have to do that. The David Bowie style to become a different artist from time to time. It's something I have to try to do myself because in my current state of mind, it won't be as entertaining to just read words over some loud music. Even Swans, when they do kind of a spoken word thing, the music is so good, the production is so good, and Michael Gira will do more than enough passion. He doesn't struggle for a passionate delivery. Go listen to Swans, and you'll see how he almost has like an orgasm sometimes when he's going through certain parts of his songs. Almost like the Fela Kuti, it could be just a droney part for 10 minutes, and then you hear lyrics come in, his vocals come in, spoken word. Frankie M's my favorite song. And yeah, it's 20-minute experience. You have to listen to the whole thing for 20 minutes, like a Fela Kuti song. All right. I think I rambled for a good amount of time. I'm over an hour, just about an hour. What I'll do now is just go through the KRS-One book and talk a little bit more about my own opinions on this stuff. KRS-One, the book is called The Gospel of Hip Hop. I only learned from KRS-One from the Sublime song. In school they never taught of hamburgers or steaks, Elijah Muhammad, or the welfare state, but I know because of KRS-One. That's my introduction to the name KRS-One was that. I've only listened to one or two of his albums though. Heaven is not a place you go to, it is a place you grow to. Edgar Cayce. That's the beginning quote of this book. The first chapter of this Gospel of Hip Hop is called A New Covenant, and it gets really almost over dramatic, like he is preaching this to a congregation. I am the graffiti writer who thinks and grows spiritually. I draw peace, love, unity, and joy. I am the DJ who delivers justice while cutting, mixing, and scratching with life. I am the beatboxer whose body expresses art through sound. I play God's instrument. I am the fashion that uncovers the fear and shame hidden in oppressive nations. And it goes on and on and on. I'm just highlighting little snippets of what I like. We are humbled before God, the author of hip hop. Other cultures and nations were created in other ways for other reasons and have certain divine responsibilities that they must adhere to. That's really what the beginning sentiment is. It's not just even how you spell hip hop he was talking about. When there's a difference between the culture and the history and the actual music genre. If hip hop didn't do anything else, what it actually did in real history is rescue the children of a scattered and impoverished people from certain death. So yeah, and he states that it started in 1973. And I'm just going from, all these things I'm reading are from this first chapter, page 10. This is from page 12. We belong to no political, religious, financial, or educational institution or group in the world. Yet each of these institutions have used hip-hop in their own desperateness to attract new followers to their causes. There's a spirituality. This is myself talking now. What I sum up from these first 30 pages is the spirituality of hip-hop. He really is writing this like a gospel, spreading the good news of hip-hop. He goes into the language, where these words, the etymology, is that the word? the origin of these words, hip and hop, and what they could mean as acronyms. He gets really to the smallest detail of everything, like you're reading a Bible or the Quran, if people read that, or any other religious book. It wasn't as difficult for me. Like when I read the Tibetan Book of the Dead, I was no idea what I was coming into. I don't know any Tibetan monks, so I'm completely a blank slate when it comes to the Tibetan Book of the Dead. When you read a gospel according to hip hop, and I kind of grew up with it. He mentions MC Hammer in this. That was the only rap I knew as like a young kid, was MC Hammer and Criss Cross, Vanilla Ice, and shit like that. This is from page 17. This training is all about getting you to recognize your spiritual reality and begin living your life outside of the fear and worry caused by excessive material want. Speaking of Buddhist stuff, that's kind of like a Buddhist concept. The duality of the spiritual and physical realm, like that's what I'm talking about. I wasn't expecting to go this deep into hip hop. I thought this book was going to be just about the history, the forefathers, where hip hop will go in the future, but it's completely different than what I expected. This is from page 19. When you realize this for real, you also realize that something bigger than you, something stronger than you, something smarter, faster, and calmer than you is trying to communicate with you. I like that line because it reminded me of the muse concept. You have to respect the muse and be a sponge, a vessel for the muse of whatever art you're trying to create. This is from page 23. Miracles happen every day, all day, but most people don't expect them, so they don't see them or experience them. Strange, kooky type events go on all the time, and people simply disregard them as coincidences, or they ignore them altogether. Then they criticize their own spiritual experiences as not real, as childish and naive, or naive. I like that. It made me think about events in my life that I was like, it's just a weird coincidence, but maybe I don't look as deeply into something, everyday occurrence, a happenstance. I kind of overdo that sometimes too. That's like the paranoia could get to you. Everyone's looking at me. Everything's set up in some big conspiracy against me. And it is an easier read. Maybe I read these 100 pages in about an hour and a half yesterday evening. I'm going to try to keep up to it though, so I don't forget about this. I'm starting different books. I started the Wanda Coleman book. I started the Elmore Leonard book, and I'm starting this one. So I'm going to try to put time into finishing these, not just leaving them there incomplete. This is from page 32. Money is not more important than the rise of a suffering people into the fulfillment of the promise of God. Nothing is more important than your people becoming truly free. There it is. Another line. Yes, cool DJ here, Africa Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash, Crazy Legs. The only person I've ever heard of is Grandmaster Flash. I don't know these other old forefathers of the hip hop, whether they were DJs or MCs, I don't know. These men and others are the architects of hip hop and can even be called fathers. But there were simply too many unseen supernatural forces that assisted in hip hop's birth and development for any one person to claim exclusive credit for the creation of hip hop. We actually discovered hip hop as we participated in it. In the early days of our development, hip hop first appeared as a saving force, a form of recreation, a neighborhood pastime. It wasn't about making money initially. It was more about expressing what you would do when you acquired money. And that's exactly what I'm going through right now. I don't care about money. I care about being able to make art. If I become homeless and I have to live on the street, marijuana, you're in here for some marijuana? You ever suck dick for marijuana? Whatever my future holds, if I'm not able to have the internet and other means of creating art, what am I going to do on the street? Just, I guess that's how graffiti art started. People didn't have the resources to make paintings and stuff, so they turned to graffiti. There is a big graffiti aspect to hip hop. Not that I'm really educated on that. I couldn't name you any graffiti artist, but I do like it when I see it. Let's see what else I got here. I'd recommend this book. I'm not trying to be fake here. This was a tough book to read, but if you give it patience, like if I read the Bible, I would have the same thing. Or a guy I worked with gave me the Quran maybe a long time ago. I worked at a pizza place and I just couldn't get into it. I didn't even open it up. To read a new religious book is difficult. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, the only reason I read that was because I was writing songs about funerals, and I know there was the Egyptian book and the Tibetan book, and I wanted to kind of sound somewhat intelligent about it. But I'd recommend this book, The Gospel of Hip Hop. I'm not just saying that to be some phony plastic person. It's tough to get through, but if you go through the first 100 pages, you'll get addicted to it. It does get more and more progressively interesting. All right, this is another quote. That one day it will live up to its creed of all men being created equal with unalienable rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. He does talk about MLK, what led to the necessity of hip hop as the promised land. That's what he terms it on page 46. Hip hop is the promised land. He talks a lot about MLK, and that's that period of time. People were looking for an outlet, and that outlet became speech, music, and dance and art. This is from page 47. Here you are truly judged by the content of your character, your attributes, your principles, your abilities, your reputation, who you associate with, not by your race or ethnic origin or financial status. Real hip hop is beyond all of that. Hip hop is the promised land. He kept repeating that. That's one of my favorite parts that I read so far, that I shouldn't feel imposter syndrome because I'm just a dude trying to make art. I'm not trying to copy somebody or steal from someone. There's no cultural appropriation in my head. I'm trying to get influenced by any form of art because I don't know my place yet. I'm not purely a musician. I'm more of just a writer of songs and stories, and I have to put myself out there to every possible culture and worldview, and I'm only like 5% in, man. I don't know anything about Eastern Europe or Chinese music, Australian. I barely know American history of like blues, southern rock, folk music, Appalachian stuff. I know it in passing, but I can't really speak about it like a scholar would, or a teacher teaching a class about the history of blues music. So there's a lot of shit that I'm trying to catch up on as a 44-year-old, but I'm also trying to find my own path without. Of course, I'm building off of people from the past that I mentioned yesterday, some of the rap that I might mention later, but I'm trying to create something in my own style so people will know it's me, and I'm not trying to be fake, dressing up like I don't dress. We are doing the same things today that our parents did yesterday. We are killing prophets and ignoring the truth. Yeah, he's talking about that. People who walk the earth as seekers and try to spread this one love, anti-racism, anti-classism, bringing people together in a more beautiful rendition of love. That's what he was kind of talking about in these passages. He's almost saying it's like a responsibility to keep hip hop the way it's supposed to be. Many have mastered hip hop's artistic elements, but only a few have mastered themselves. That's like some kung fu shit you would see on that television show. Mastering yourself. What does that even mean? Mastering your thoughts, your words, your emotions. That's my problem sometimes. I'm not a rage type of person. I've never been in a fight in my life. Maybe that's why I feel like I need to have more masculine attributes because I've never been in a fight. I've never had sex. These are things that are like passages that people say, like that's how you become a man. You go to war and you kill people in combat, and then you fuck and and you become a man. Are you a man? Isn't that in The Godfather, Marlon Brando? I don't know, I forget it now. This is from page 62. We make hip hop real by authentically being it. Continued. Through hip hop, we have a paradigm by which to create ourselves and document our own body of hip hop knowledge and history. So he's going back to the community of what he calls hip hoppers, hip hop culture. At its core, hip hop is not just an art form. It is the pursuit of one's authentic being through the arts. That's exactly my mission statement. Not just for hip hop, but punk rock, pop music. I tried to write pop music not too long ago. A song I shared called West Coast Time. West Coast Time, living on West Coast Time. It's almost like a club anthem. It could be like that. Maybe the East Coast won't like it. But yeah, that's my mission statement. I'm pursuing being authentic through the arts. I'm not going to find my identity through the color of my skin, through my parents' heritage, from their beliefs, from their struggles and their conflicts, their bullshit. You're not going to find your identity like that. It's going to come through your purpose in life, your interaction with others. Right now, my only interaction with others is these talks I do and sharing my art. That's how I try to create an authentic identity and become a better person. It's like my religion. Yeah, you could say that. The experiences produced by hip hop's core four, and I guess he mentioned these people, that b-boying, MCing, graffiti art, and DJing. Those are the core four of hip hop. The experiences produced by these core four elements have created uniquely rich hip hop stories, hip hop legends and myths, original artists, popular music, and thought provoking poetry that critiques and interprets the world in which the hip hop community exists. At first glance, hip hop can be seen as simply an urban music genre inspired by the African American Latino youths of the Bronx during the early 70s. However, upon closer observation, hip-hop becomes a way of life, a specific way of being and seeing the world, a unique view of the world and world events. This is why hip-hop is so successful as a young culture. Hip-hop absorbs the music of blues, gospel, rock, soul, and jazz, but it's not absorbed by any of them. It is absorbed by none of these other influences. I like that line. You still kind of can remain true to your own methodology, your own DNA, but you could also get shaped by other people's DNA to add to your own. It's a merging of artistic concepts through other types of music. And he goes into he describes how rap and hip hop are different. Rap is something we do. Hip hop is something we live. I'm not calling myself a rapper. I'm reading this because I'm trying to at least understand more about it. I don't know what I would sound like if I would have to be like Velvet Underground, talking spoken word stuff over loud music, because I don't know what my flow, if I could develop anything, would be like yet. I could practice all day, but it's not something I want to do right now. I need to be in the right headspace, away from other bullshit, away from people's imposter syndrome allegations or bullshit like that. Page 69, hip hop is the return of the ancient ways, the healing ways, the natural ways, the ways of God, the way of God. And I don't know how true this is, but he said that the correct pronunciation of hip hop, and he talks about spelling it with a capital H and all this stuff. And then he talks about the acronym HIPHOP, her infinite power helping oppressed people. I like that a lot. Her infinite power helping oppressed people. That goes back to the Tom Morello thing. Always be on the side of the oppressed. And he goes more in depth about the language. Hip, spelled with a capital H from the ancient African hippie, means to know or be aware. It's a form of intelligence. And on the other one, HOP with a capital H is from the Aboriginal Hopi tribe, which I kind of talked about in The Last Prisoner. I had a character who was Hopi, HOPI, which means good or peaceable. Together, hippie and Hopi, the original union of cultures in the Americas, can symbolize not only the unity of African and Native American civilizations, but also symbolizes peaceful awareness, good awareness, or the awareness of peace or goodness. I never knew it went this deep. The hippie movement, he talks about hippie movements. It seemed to have been killed by media hype. The Charles Manson thing, definitely I would add that too. That's a part of that. And drug abuse. Many hippies just burned out or became part of the same government and corporate structure that they were fighting against. I talk about that sometimes. Hip hop can learn a lot from this early protest movement. I think that's cool how he kind of conflates it, or he at least compares it to some of the concepts of hippie. It was all about one love, coming together as one. And he mentions love a lot as the common theme of movements like the hip hop culture. A hip hop movement is an intelligent movement, a movement aware of itself. Going back to some of the language, I never knew any of this shit. I never knew it went that deep. But I guess desperate people, a lot of people in the inner city looking for a better life, maybe they found, for some people, but the majority of that community, African American community in that time period, 70s, 80s, was not a lot of opportunity for people. As a city-state, this is on page 81, as a city-state, hip-hop culture is the place where hip-hoppers can achieve their true life purposes in peace with no hostile beefs between hip-hoppers and with no interference from anyone unless such a purpose interferes with other hip-hoppers seeking the fulfillment of their life purposes. Like, this is why it kind of became hard to read, because it is like these rituals or doctrines. He's writing this like a gospel. It's not just like a play on words. This really is like a gospel of how hip hop served his life and saved his life. I would guess you could say that. Gave him a purpose. He's comparing it to a city state. Like, that's how deep this kind of these chapters go. I'm not criticizing it. I'm just saying you have to take your time with it, not just kind of skim it. This is from page 85. We can talk, complain, protest and rally all day about the injustices of oppressive government agencies, the police, and insensitive corporate business practices. But if we are unwilling or incapable of governing ourselves, then the natural result of such an inability is oppression and cops getting away with murder. The point is unity, just like the Operation Ivy. That's why I highlighted this, because I was talking about Operation Ivy to death yesterday. Unity, the point of unity. The point is unity, as our parents never chanted during the rise of the civil rights movement. Yeah, as our parents often chanted, the people united can never be defeated. Common protest slogan. Let's see if anything else caught my interest. This is why I prefer Kindle, since it's not an actual paper. I don't care about highlighting stuff because it's just digital stuff. When I have a book, I don't like highlighting stuff. I would have to write everything down. So the Kindle is a benefit to me personally. Because I would go to a lot of used thrift stores, but used books and used records years ago. And I like buying old books and interesting books, but not when there's writing in them and highlighting. That will get me pissed off. When people write their names on their records, it will get me kind of aggravated. Know this, along with being loved and being needed, most people just want to be understood. For the more you understand life, the easier your life shall be. Above all learning, we must truly seek understanding. And if we are blessed, overstanding. I never heard that word before, overstanding. I think it's kind of a hip hop term. But the way I'm reading this, it is like a preacher. This could be like at a service. Know this, along with being loved and being needed, most people just want to be understood. That's exactly my feelings. Lord, don't make me be misunderstood. Like, that's a big thing throughout any artist through the beginning of time. He talks about Bruce Lee here, and how I talked about that, how so many urban kids in the U.S. began practicing Kung Fu. And I thought that was interesting because of my love for the Wu-Tang series. And they talk about the Shaolin monks and all those movies. What is the highest technique you hope to achieve? Bruce Lee answers, to have no technique. There is no spoon. To have no technique, the teacher continues, very good. And then Bruce also said, Bruce Lee, there is no opponent. And the teacher asked him, why is that? And Bruce Lee said, because the word I does not exist. The teacher then says, so, continue. I think this is from a movie, maybe Enter the Dragon. Maybe this was the part of the movie that they took out of it, maybe. I don't remember. But I think Bruce Lee died around that time when that movie came out. A good fight should be like a small play, but played seriously. This is from Bruce Lee. A good martial artist does not become tense, but ready, not thinking, yet not dreaming. Ready for whatever may come. When the opponent expands, I contract. When he contracts, I expand. And when there is an opportunity, I do not hit. It hits all by itself. I compare that to the free flowing of poetry that I'm trying to get to, where I don't have to feel like I'm battling against something inside of me. Even later, when Red Alert, Chuck Chill Out, DJ Breakout, and Brucey B, I don't know any of these names, played, Christians were there, Rastafarians were there, 5%ers, speaking of the Wu-Tang, I think that's a part of that story. Freemasons were there, Muslims were there, Hindus and Buddhists were there, witches, Satanists, atheists were all in attendance. It was a jam. It was open, and anyone who wanted to be there was there. And he's saying how all these different tribes came together in the early days of hip-hop, and there were sure conflicts and probably fights, but people kind of had a universal definition of what they were trying to do. It's a very interesting birthing of a new genre of music. What else is comparable? I guess punk rock in the 70s, 60s, and 70s in response to the death of the hippie movement. You needed something else on the outskirts. It became the beatniks, I guess. Well, that was the 60s. More of the easy rider approach to things. Punk rock started soon after. And then hip hop was another answer because maybe people didn't feel like they were being represented by punk because it was usually just white dudes. Yeah, you got Bad Brains in the 80s and some other bands like that. Death, the punk band Death from Detroit was a bunch of black dudes. This is from page 99. However, the desperate quest to exploit hip-hop's artistic elements for profit in hip-hop's later years buried the principles and life skills that accompanied hip-hop's early artistic elements. So how money can corrupt any movement, even hip-hop, or anything. Of course, money is about how do you sell all of these albums to the most people, and you want to make it safe at times. Don't make it too political. Don't criticize the police or they're going to come shut down your concert. F the police. I think that's in that movie, Straight Outta Compton, right? Some of the towns they went to, they were warned before, don't play that song or we're going to come fuck you up. The police were warning them. So that's the first 100 pages or so, maybe 2 or 3 chapters of that book. And I'd recommend it. I'm going to keep up with it. Maybe I'll talk about it again later if I share some more rap songs so I feel more comfortable going through this stuff. I'm sure there's other books I could read. There was other documentaries about the beginning stages of hip-hop, the causes, why these things were important to the inner city. And it's not just about the music. It's not just about the money. It's about bringing people together on a united front. That's kind of what I got from it, the unity type of an experience. So I'm all about that shit. That's probably why I connected to Operation Ivy and Rage Against the Machine. I speak out against the tribalism, even if I don't understand everything in global politics. Who the fuck does? Unless you're in that area of government, how do you really know what the hell's going on in any country day to day in terms of civil wars and religious conflicts? It's too complicated, man. I'm just a dude in New Jersey trying to make some art, work at a coffee shop, and live the next 20 years of my life creating music and screenplays. I don't want to be doing this. This is something I'm doing right now, these stupid talks. They're stupid, but they are kind of meaningful. I can get thoughts out that might spark something inside of me. I spoke about that screenplay a couple days ago of the neo-Nazi and the Black Panther in the future. They're 90 years old and they're in a nursing home together and they still hate each other. You can make it a Palestinian and an Israeli. You could put anything in there. Tribes that are taught to hate each other. And I would say that's a pretty common one. A Nazi and a Black Panther, they probably wouldn't get along politically. Maybe they wouldn't kill each other, but maybe they would. Or maybe they just have really, really elaborate, politically divergent attitudes towards life and race relations. So anyway, I had an idea for a script. You take these two 90-year-old people, a neo-Nazi and a Black Panther, you put them in an amusement park ride in the future that takes them into space. They can see the planet Earth from space. And at the end, it would be such a inspirational moment to see the planet from space. You could go into space with your worst enemy, man, and you'll be hugging that person and being like, man, we got to just be friends. And because it shows you how stupid it is. I want to make that story a reality. I actually picture Bruce Willis as the white dude. Not that he's a skinhead, but there's no Nazi in Bruce Willis. I don't want to compare him to that, but I think he could play that role. In terms of the black actor, I don't know. I was kind of picturing Bernie Mac because I want it to be kind of funny where, I know I have to find somebody else. I used to like that show, Bernie Mac. But whatever, I don't know what actor I'm thinking of. Maybe it's two of the most important actors of our time. Yeah, R.I.P. Bernie Mac. I didn't know he died that long ago. 2008. Maybe it's Denzel. You get Denzel and Bruce Willis together, and you put them in this script where all they're doing is ripping each other to shreds. I'd have to write this with a black person because I'm not going to write any really racist stuff unless I have the approval of a black person, or if it's a Palestinian and a Jew in this story, whatever I really come up with, because this is just a concept. I haven't tried to outline this at all, but the whole script would be 20 pages of them launching insults at each other as they're going in this spaceship ride, just them two. Somehow they get mixed together because the nursing home orderlies just want to play a joke on them. They know they hate each other. So they go on this ride, and for 20 minutes they just have political debates about why they hate each other and saying the most hateful shit. And these are 90-year-old men, so they can barely get their thoughts out anymore. The propaganda that they were taught. I don't want to go too deep into the history of Black Panthers or KKK or Nazis. Whatever propaganda that you want to put there. That's why I would need other voices to develop this story with me. The whole point of it is just to show that the unity is there. When you see the planet Earth from space, all that shit's going to go out the fucking window, man. If you're still thinking about how your skin color makes you a different person than somebody else when you're up in space looking at the fucking planet Earth from your little spaceship ride. And somebody please get on that shit, Elon Musk or one of those billionaire people shooting rockets into space. Develop a safe amusement park ride where in the future people can go into Earth's orbit just to see most of the planet from space. I don't know how to do that safely. Of course, it seems like a crazy fantasy concept, but it'd be so cool to go to space, man. And where was I going? Yeah, the whole point is the unity. Once you see the planet from space, you're going to be like, your ego's done. You're racist or superiority based on your nationality. All that shit's gone. It's going to disappear, and you're going to like love that person because all that shit's going to be, it's in your head to make you seem bigger than you are. It's a fear, a fight or flight response. A lot of the nationalism is because you're afraid of the other, or you feel like you have to defend your traditions. All that shit goes to shit when you realize that you're not in control of the story of Earth. We're just people living on this planet, but we're not really in control of the overall plot. We might think we are, and we're trying to just survive as billions of people on a planet, and it's not easy to do. At least we have plumbing and antibiotics and soap and the internet to kind of guide us. I think the internet is a force for good. Yeah, it's just how you use it. I'm not going to use it for porn as much as I did or at all anymore. But porn was a big reason the internet got kind of a bad... Yeah, but it's just people. It's just people. Before the internet, I would just go to a porn store and buy like porn DVDs because I needed to watch something to masturbate to. It became more convenient. I don't have to steal porn magazines from people as a kid or go to a creepy place, one of those stores. We sell XXX videos. I did do that once or twice. Go buy like a porno. It is a weird experience. But the internet got a bad rap because of that. It's a waste of time. The trolling of social media, it can lead to depression for teenagers or anybody. It can become an addiction. But I'm trying to be better, and I've gotten there. It's not just now. It's been 4 or 5 years of just trying to use my time better. But again, I can't do a lot in my current circumstances. This is the best I can do from my current location. I need to move somewhere else and develop a better plan because it's not happening in New Jersey. And I don't want to go down that conversation again. I talked about it enough yesterday. What else should I really talk about? I think I hit a lot of the major plot points. But I was talking about that story about going into space. Like, how cool would that be? You know, the first roller coasters, probably people were absolutely amazed at the human ingenuity to form these roller coaster rides, these wooden coasters. I love that stuff. I haven't done it in like 20 years, but I would still do it. Great Adventure was like the best place as a kid. I talked about that story again because that's what I'd be doing right now. I would go to the library, my public library, every day, and I'd be writing screenplay after screenplay after screenplay until it was done. But there has to be a monetary value, man. I'm not trying to live how I live right now. I can't move forward in my life unless I have the money to do so. I'm not greedy. I really am not. I just want enough money to be comfortable and not be homeless without depending on anybody else, without depending on the government or whatever you term the government as. According to Bad Religion, you are the government. Let me go back to Bad Religion because I mention them at every time I do this shit. You are the government, you are jurisprudence, and I make a difference too. It's that maybe off of Suffer. You Are the Government from 1988. Hey, sit down and listen, and they'll teach you when you're wrong. Eradicate but vindicate as progress creeps along. Puritan work ethic maintains its subconscious edge as Old Glory maintains your consciousness. There's a loser in my house and a puppet on a stool, and a crowded way of life and a black reflecting pool. And as the people bend, the moral fabric dies. Then country can't pretend to ignore its people's cries. And as the people bend, the moral fabric dies. Then country can't pretend to ignore its people's cries. Because you are the government. You are jurisprudence. You are the volition. You are jurisdiction. And I make a difference too. I think he's saying that tongue in cheek. Like, if I thought I'd make a difference, I'd kill myself today. That was the other song I shared. He's the best lyricist, Greg Graffin. He's the best lyricist in my experience with music, not just punk. Greg Graffin is like a professor of evolutionary biology. He's written a bunch of books about his experiences and other biological, trying to explain the human condition through that aspect. He's a really interesting dude. And I think he writes the most thought-compelling lyrics. And it's political, yeah. The image of Bad Religion is the cross with the line through it, the famous logo of Bad Religion. I thought about getting that tattoo as well, but I think it's just, it might give people the wrong connotation, the wrong perception of what it means. They're going to think I'm anti-Christianity or anti-Catholic. I'm not pro or anti. It's just another organization with good people and bad people. There's good police and bad police. There's good politicians and bad. Maybe there's some good ones. There's good teachers, bad teachers. Good podcasts, bad podcasts. Maybe art's different because art is whatever you want it to be. Um, Yesterday, I drew a funny cartoon of the tattoo I'm going to get eventually, where on my left arm, I think, yeah, I was trying to see how it would make the most sense to me. Um, if I'm standing towards a crowd and you're looking at me, on my right arm will say create your, and on my left arm it would say your or own reality. Create your own reality. I'm gonna have to talk to the tattoo artist and see which way he thinks is better, but I think it's better like that. If somebody's looking at me, they're gonna read from right to left. So yeah, I'm still not sure which way is better. Looking at me, I guess, yeah, you have to start on my right arm. If I'm looking at someone, I'm going to look at their right arm first, yeah, if I'm reading something. So that's what I want to get. Create your own reality from a Bad Religion lyric. And I might do it soon, and to get the straight edge X on the back of my neck, because those are two meaningful things that I would hopefully not get tired of, and I would be happy with those things. Um, but I'm not sure when I'm going to do that. There is something in my mind about if you get a tattoo, you might have to wait 3 months before you donate blood. And I don't feel like doing that. But if you get it done in New Jersey, because it's a special regulations of tattoos, I think you can do it right away. So I might do it here, even if I get a job somewhere else. This isn't a midlife crisis. I'm trying to get a new identity for myself. And to grow it, it's just like the hip hop story. It's going to be something that grows and develops. The hip hop of the 1970s is nothing like it is today. I was getting nostalgia for the Saigon album, the Jordan era, an album that came out a couple years ago, the Jordan era, and it's that 90s type of hip hop. I got nostalgic for that because I had a little bit of awareness of that stuff. You can just tell the difference between hip hop today, the use of auto tune and the different type of beats, and the way Public Enemy sounds, who I enjoy. I still haven't connected to it. Like, I can't say that I fell in love with any Public Enemy yet, but I do love a lot of other 90s hip hop. I guess to finish this talk today, I'll go through some of my favorite rap albums, hip hop albums, which is in my book, but I'll give some of them, the ones that I want to talk about. The two genres that I'm most uneducated on is heavy metal and I guess hip hop. I can't really have a good conversation with educated people on those two things. But a lot of people think these genres are in competition. Like I never understood that. Maybe the only time where I was like mad at a award show was like one of the MTV awards where Nirvana didn't win, and it was like Aerosmith maybe won Get a Grip, which is a great album, but I never really um, yeah, I never care about the Grammys and the rivalries, even the Kanye and Taylor Swift thing. That was stupid as shit. It's probably just set up to get people talking about things. All right. I have 58 albums. I'm not going to talk about all of them. Maybe just my top 10 or so. Deltron 3030 is probably my favorite. Dr. Dre, The Chronic. Kendrick Lamar, Good Kid. That one I like the most. The Old Jersey Bastard, Tame One and Parallel Thought. Ghostface Killer, Adrian Young, 12 Reasons to Die. Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style. MF Doom, Food. JPEG Mafia was a newer one. It's probably my favorite newer artist. I Lay Down My Life for You. Biz Markie, I like his delivery a lot. He might be a Philly guy. I forget, maybe he's New York, but he's East Coast somewhere. Liquid Swords, I said. Cypress Hill, Black Sundays, classic. KRS-One, I did put as a perfect album. Return of the Boom Bop, that was interesting to me. Rhapsody, so I have at least some female voices on here. Blackistan and Stu Bangus. I don't know if you say K-A, a martyr's reward. I forget how to say his name. Black Thought, Danger Mouse from a couple years ago. Larry June, The Alchemist. I didn't put Jay-Z or Kanye, any of their solo stuff. I like Watch the Throne. I like that one the best. That's the one I was rocking on my road trips. So I kind of fell in love with that album. Cunning Linguist. That's a crazy name. Crazy. Little Sims, another female. She got pretty big. Sometimes I might be introvert. I like that one. A little bit long and maybe a little bit bloated because it is like over an hour, I think. Warren G, Regulate. This is called Cocaine Beach. I think it's from the Miami scene. I don't know how to say their names. Huss Kingpin and Big Ghost Limited. Yeah, I hate, a lot of the rap names get me confused. Even the Wu-Tang, is it RZA and Jizza? Is that how you say that shit? Like, I'm honest, I don't know enough about this stuff to have conversations with people. I think this is from the Miami Beach scene, though, the Cocaine Beach that I liked from 2017. Arm & Hammer, We Buy Diabetic Test Strips, that's a newer one. All right, there's a Philly connection. The Roots, Do You Want More? That might be their first album. AJ Suede, Outkast, Tribe Called Quest, We Got It From Here. I talked about the Jordan era, Eazy-E, Al Michaels Affair, if that's how you say that, and Black Thought. The Far Side, The Brat, Arm & Hammer and The Alchemist, Haram with the really weird cover of the pigs, Aesop Rock, Vinnie Paz, Beastie Boys, Flying Lotus. Yeah, I've tried to go down different. I have another Ghostface Killer, Hidden Darts. That's a really interesting album. Eric the Architect, Mac Hami, he's a New Jersey guy, I think, from Haiti maybe. JPEG Mafia, Danny Brown. Yeah, that was a lot of hype was around Scaring the Hose. That's like the best album cover ever. But it's a good album. I liked it. Like, that would never have been created in the 90s or 80s. It's so specific to this time period, the way they produce an album like that. Illogic, Celestial Clockwork. I'm not just going to name anything else, but Deltron 3030 is probably my favorite overall, because that one took me to weird places in my head where I was like looking for conspiracy angles for stuff. Deltron 3030, it's really about 2020. They were predicting the pandemic. They have a song called The Virus. I want to develop a virus. Do I want to read the lyrics to that to finish this talk? Sure. Virus, Deltron 3030. Back then I was doing something physically every day, and I would listen to this album a lot. I want to devise a virus to bring dire straits to your environment, crush your corporations with a mild touch, trash your whole computer system and revert you to papyrus. I want to make a super virus, strong enough to cause blackouts in every single metropolis, because they don't want to unify us. So fuck it, total anarchy, can't nobody stop us. This is exactly what I was getting from the first 100 pages of the hip-hop gospel. You see late in the evening, fucked up on my computer and my mind starts roaming. I create like a heathen. The first cycles of this virus I can send through a modem. Infiltration hits your station. No Microsoft or enhanced DOS will impede. Society thinks they're safe when, bingo, hard drive crashes from the rendering. A lot of hackers tried viruses before. Vaporize your text like so much whiteout. I want it where a file replication is a chore. Lights out, shut down the entire White House. I don't want just a bug that could be corrected. I'm erecting immaculate design. Break the nation down section by section. Even to the greatest minds, it's impossible to find. I want to devise a virus to bring dire straits to your environment, crush your corporations with a mild touch, trash your whole computer system and revert you to papyrus. I want to develop a super virus, better by far than that old Y2K. This 3030, this time of global unification, break right through they. Terminals, burn them all, slaves to silicone. He's saying stuff that people are still talking about today. Like, it's really crazy, man. I'll stop there. When did he write this? In 2000? It's fucking crazy. He's like a prophet, dude. Deltron 3030, who were the people involved in this? American Canadian hip hop trio, Dan the Automator. That's a cool name, man. I like that name. Del the Funky Homo Sapien. And DJ Kid Koala. I need to dig deeper into these people. There is a connection to the Gorillas. Is it Del? Dan the Automator is San Francisco born. His parents were in Japanese internment camps. Holy shit, dude. I didn't read anything about these people ever. Maybe it's Del the Funky Homo Sapien. He's from Oakland, California. I need to get into this more because I really like his delivery. He's from Oakland. I think I do enjoy West Coast more, but I don't know enough to really say that. I feel stupid talking about West Coast, East Coast stuff like I know what I'm fucking talking about. I don't know. There is a connection to Gorillas. There has to be, because the guy's voice sounds exactly the same. Gorillas. I don't think I put any Gorillas on my list of favorite hip-hop albums. I like a lot of their songs, but I never loved any of their albums, like front to back, enough to really pay attention to it. Well, yeah, Damon Albarn. I thought there was something to do with that, though. Maybe I'm wrong. I guess I'm wrong. Yeah, this is why it's good to have more knowledgeable people on a podcast. I gotta look it up again. I want to, the Funky Homo Sapien, Del, the Funky Homo Sapien. It's hard to say that shit. I thought he was a part of it. Yeah, I'm right. He provides the defining hip-hop vocals for the virtual band Gorillaz during their debut era. Clint Eastwood, the breakthrough from 2001. So this dude was going off in the early 2000s, man. Excuse me, I don't know what he's doing now. But yeah, he was making the craziest shit, in my estimation. Clint Eastwood's amazing. And he wrote the legendary verses for this track in just 30 minutes using a book titled How to Write a Hit Song. All right, there's a lot of stuff I need to get deeper, do the deeper dive into these artists. Del the Ghost Rapper, what's that? Del plays the Ghost Rapper. He is portrayed as the phantom spirit of drummer Russell Hobbs' late best friend who was killed in a drive-by. Yeah, this guy is crazy artistic. Yeah, I'm going to have to get into these people more. Deltron 3030 is my favorite rap album, hip-hop, whatever term you want to put. And because of my teenage years, Dr. Dre, The Chronic, I put as my second favorite because that has the most nostalgia. And the productions changed the hip-hop game. Like, I really know what I'm talking about. But I think it's universally accepted that The Chronic is like the Sgt. Pepper of 90s hip-hop into the 2000s. I like that brand of West Coast stuff. Maybe Kendrick Lamar has some connection to that sound since he's West Coast. Of course, Snoop Dogg. Even that female rapper, what was her name? Debrat, yeah, Debrat Functified. I don't know what label that is, but it reminded me of those type of beats. I don't know what the label, Columbia Records, So Def from 1994. Debrat and Jermaine Dupri. I've heard his name before, producer and writer, and that's called Functified. I don't like the album cover. It's kind of, it seems like they did it in like 5 minutes, but the album's amazing. I hate it when I love an album, but I don't like the album cover. Yeah, it makes me like, yeah, I really like it though. It's cool to hear a female rapper over the Dr. Dre type of style. That's my favorite brand, I think. I can listen to The Chronic every day because it sounds so good. That's why I said it's the Sgt. Pepper, because of the production is just above anything else. I guess younger people today go to Kendrick Lamar, Pimp a Butterfly. I've given it a chance at least 3 or 4 times, and it is good. I prefer the Good Kid, Mad City, Good Kitty. That sounds like something else. But there is some East Coast here. Ghostface Killer is MF Doom. Is that East Coast? Biz Markie. I said the Tame One and Parallel Thought. The cover of the album is a New Jersey driver's license with actual numbers in his face. I don't know the story of this guy, the old Jersey bastard, but the music's amazing. Not for real ID purposes. The old Jersey bastard, Tame One and Parallel Thought. Yeah, I really like this album. It's in my top 10. And it's something I just found recently. Tame One and Parallel Thought. Maybe I can at least pretend to know what I'm talking about. The production duo Parallel Thought. They formed a legendary underground hip hop alliance in New Jersey, creating raw, psychedelic, unfiltered boom bap. Yeah, I really like it. Right there in Freehold. So yeah, fuck yeah. Even though I don't want to live in New Jersey, it's cool when other people make it. Mac Hami, I think he did too, from Newark maybe. So there is cool East Coast stuff. I always felt like more of a West Coast guy in terms of hip hop and hip hop and punk rock. Yeah, he's Haitian American. Mac Hami. I like the 2 of his albums really hit me. I like him a lot. But he's from Newark, New Jersey now. So check him out if you want to support some New Jersey people. But I guess I'm going to stop here. There's not much more I can talk about. Um, Again, I'm trying to be as real as possible, whether I'm talking about punk rock. And yeah, I'm a parrot. I'm a parrot. Politically, I've always been a parrot. I heard something on The Daily Show during the Bush era, or Franco and American, war on terrorism, bad religion. Those were the things that I wanted to get more involved in, so I was influenced by those musical movements. The Daily Show was how I spoke about politics. I just parroted whatever Jon Stewart and people were talking about back then in the early 2000s when I made the decision to become a political science major. And I was like going to these different classes, Towson University in Maryland. And it was a good university, good experience. I remember when the Iraq war started, there was a big protest on the campus. And I wasn't used to stuff like that. I only saw things like that in movies, like from Vietnam era stuff. So I was interested in that. I never got involved because I was too afraid. The closest I ever did was write a paper to like the political science department newsletter or journal and try to get published in there. A critique of the Iraq war because I thought I knew what I was talking about. But I was just using the same arguments from that left perspective, which maybe I still agree with. I'm anti-war in almost all categories. I just think war should never be glorified. Colin Powell even said it should be a last resort, but then he went down that avenue as well during that time. I don't think people's perception of war is really goes deeper than cause and effect relationships. They just look at it like, oh, we're at war. It's just a normal part of human life. But I don't view it like that. I think it's such a disappointing aspect of our culture, not American culture, just humanity. I'm not saying this as an anti-American thing. Yeah, we spend the most money on our military and we kind of play the policeman of the world, which I'd rather it be us than other forces, I guess. But I just want to have a deeper thought experiment about why it's always these conflicts, religious conflicts or just nationalism. It doesn't make sense in my head because I don't think most people view people like that. I think most people are good, and if they view you, they're not going to say, oh, he's an American, we can't help this guy. He's a Muslim, I can't help that person. My tribe isn't getting along with them. If I met an Iranian American and they needed help, I don't care where they're from, man. So it doesn't add up in my head. Whatever the cause of conflicts are, politically, economically, trying to get people in power, more aligned with American corporate interest, American interest in general. Yeah, I don't go that deep because I don't know who to believe when it comes to that. Everyone's got their own approach to the conspiracy madness, propaganda. It's all for oil. It's all for anti-communism. It's all for revenge for the Iran hostage crisis of the 70s and Argo, which I love that movie, Argo. That's a great movie. So I try to get deeper into it, but I don't know what the conclusion is. The conclusion usually is fuck this all, because I get nihilistic when I think about war and the concepts of war, the military industrial complex, all those fancy words. And yeah, it gets me kind of not depressed. It just gets me uncaring in a stoic fashion because I don't understand these conflicts. Maybe if I lived in Israel, if I lived in Palestine, if I lived in Iran, and I would have a better understanding of why people hate each other. I can't understand it from what the news is telling me. The only thing the news is telling me is this is your enemy. I don't really know the cause and effect relationships, even from the early 2000s after 9/11 and all that started going down. It became very complicated to kind of go through all the information. It was a very complicated era, and it's still ongoing, but you just deal with it in different ways. Because that's how I view it. The only thing I'm doing right now is giving blood because I don't want to use somebody else's car. Gas is crazy expensive. I don't want to drive anywhere or do anything until maybe things are different. Whatever this is, it's too confusing for me. So I kind of just tune out when shit like this goes down. The only thing I'm doing once every 2 weeks or so is to give blood for the Red Cross. And it's like, I don't care where my blood goes. If somebody got hurt in this war and they needed blood, I would want to give them blood. If somebody got hurt on either side, people are just people, in my opinion. I don't care where the blood goes. You could even make that a political issue at times. It becomes like a political issue. It's not like you don't determine where your blood goes, wherever the Red Cross does it logistically to whatever hospital it goes to. But you know what I mean. I don't care where it goes. If somebody needs blood, they need blood. Doesn't matter if they're Muslim, Jew, Christian, Buddhist, Satanist. they're just a person. So that's how I view things. That's why I get all confused about these tribal conflicts, religious conflicts. It doesn't equate in my head. Maybe in the past I kind of just was more blasé about it. Like, another war. Wow, look at that. The Middle East hates each other. What else is fucking new? It gets really cynical to the point of not caring anymore. But maybe this is related to the hip hop thing because it's all about unity and coming together. Muhammad Ali going to prison was a punk rock way to handle that, in my opinion. He didn't want to go kill people and kill other poor people in another part of the world. He had every right to say that. That's very punk rock, anti-establishment. You could call it hip hop as well. If things don't make sense, you have to call the shit out. You can't just hide behind ignorance because it's more comfortable. It's more comfortable, to just hide behind any ignorance because you don't want to speak out against the majority. But the hip hop, from what I got from the first 100 pages of the KRS-One book, it's all about united fronts. And that's attractive to me because it's connected to the punk rock type of appeal. To call bullshit out when you see bullshit. The Fela Kuti appeal, Afrobeat. You can connect that all together. There's some of that in hip hop as well. So hopefully I don't sound too stupid, more than usual, when I discuss different influences in my life. I felt like I had to do this in the book to kind of get myself out there. I'm not a music critic. The reason I wanted to list my favorite shoegaze albums, favorite no wave, favorite hip hop, favorite punk, favorite heavy metal, favorite female voices, favorite stream of consciousness songs. What does that even mean? I don't even know. The reason I did all these lists was to just give thanks to people. And I do want to collaborate in the future with other artists. St. Vincent, Kimbra. These are people who can produce music and are crazy talented as musicians. The Joy Formidable, hip hop people. I would love to work with people who have more knowledge of how to do stuff. Production is completely foreign to me for the most part. These are skills I have to develop, and maybe I sound frustrated because I can't do it until I'm actually out on my own to do these things. Yeah, it's a scary thing. It's a risky proposition, but the alternative is just to fade away into nothingness. I could barely get any job in New Jersey right now. The only job I could get after applying to all these different places a year ago was a job at an Amazon warehouse as a seasonal employee. And it was all right. The money was good, but it's not a long-term force of stability. So I need to get to another location, find different people, find a different community. As I don't think things are going to get more clear about my future in New Jersey. There's just nothing pointing me to have that optimism in New Jersey right now. I'll say it every time. I'm trying to move out west. As soon as I get out there, the sooner I can start looking for a plot of land at some point and thinking in those terms. And maybe 5 years from now, I'll look back at these recordings and be like, yeah, I remember those days. It was like I was pitching to the universe, because I don't think anyone even listens to these talks. I'm pitching to the universe, trying to be real as possible, trying to get my vision for this artistic future out to something, some force that could help me. That's all I got today. I don't want to get preachy. That's where I'm going to go if I keep talking like this. Tomorrow is Friday, and I am going to work on setting up some kind of a plan for tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. Loosely, I might do one of my albums. It's mostly spoken word. poetry so I could practice more of that. The album is called Blue Light Between the Eyes, and I could talk about ambient love, some of my ambient music favorites and inspirations, like Andre 3000, right? He did a flute album, ambient music out of nowhere. One of the songs is like, seriously, I tried to write a rap song, but this came out or some shit like that. I love ambient music. I'll talk about it more tomorrow. Talk about the reason I wanted to do stuff like that. Because I'm lacking confidence in my voice, even to do spoken word. I don't know how it's going to sound, because when you hear your voice on tape, you get a negative review of yourself a lot of times. I need to practice. I need to just keep going and going until I'm happy and I feel like I'm being my true self. I don't know how long that will take to get there, but if I'm not impeded by other internal, external bullshit, I could get there faster. That's how I believe in efficiency. Like, I'm not a crazy capitalist guy. I'm not trying to outdo the competition and compete against anybody. I'm just trying to make stuff, dude. I'm competing against myself. I'm competing against the clock because I am 44. And people will say, oh, if you don't make it in this business by then, you should just give up, man. Oh, fuck you. I'm not going to give up because there's nothing else in my mind. In terms of a purpose of creation, that's my role in life, is to keep doing stuff like this. And I would be at that library this morning at 8 a.m. as it opened if I had a financial motivation to do so, which could lead to me growing this business. I can't grow it from nothing. It has to start somewhere where other people would want to get interested in some of these things. So today was just an evolution of a song, Masters Hubris, and hopefully it sounds good when I listen to this later. And if I was in my home studio in the desert right now, that I planned to do last summer, never came close to getting funded on Kickstarter, I would be practicing, because I could do this album by myself. I'm more confident today that I could do a form of hip hop to suit my abilities. I'm not going to be like A$AP Rock or Beastie Boys or Eminem, because I'm not those people. I can't mimic those people, just like I can't mimic the Ramones or Fat Mike of NoFX, Greg Graffin, but they're all inside of my DNA. Rage Against the Machine, Bad Religion are probably two of the mainstays in my DNA. Let me end on the Tom Morello again, that I guess his mother taught him that, because she might have been involved in social justice stuff, that you should always side on the side of the oppressed and vulnerable. I believe that's a quote. I'm not going to be able to find this because it was in some podcast. Side of the oppressed. Let me see if this... I don't think this is going to come up because I don't want to misquote the guy, but it was something, because it stayed with me for a long time. That quote made it seem very simple when you deal with any type of conflict. So basically that was the spirit of his quote, if I'm not saying it correct, that you should be on the side of the oppressed or vulnerable, whatever that means in terms of financially or any minority, religiously, politically. And that's a part of American history, just like anybody else. So that's a good way to leave this. So if you want to have a simple conversation about political theory, that might be the most genius way to connect people together, because I don't think Republicans are bad people. I don't think Democrats are bad people. They have different opinions of how to help the oppressed. They have different opinions on how to spread a more peaceful world. They have different opinions on the economy and class warfare. Not class warfare, how do you give people motivation, opportunity? There's very different opinions on both sides of the aisle, but these are not bad people. Republicans are not bad people. They care about the rich, the poor, and whatever the middle class is these days, and the left also does. But I think only the most radical voices are highlighted to kind of make people afraid to say something different or to try to go closer for a compromise. I feel like people are afraid to even acknowledge any goodness in another person. That's how bad it is. I could make this story about going up into space. I could relate it to a Trumper, and I don't know, a very liberal person. You could take an Antifa person with a Trumper, and they hate each other's political values and bullshit. And they go up into space and have all these debates about communism, capitalism, whatever the fuck other ism you want to put in there. I would have to do a lot of research on something like that to sound believable. It comes from the Woody Harrelson scene in Triangle of Sadness. I wish I could share that. Woody Harrelson in a Triangle of Sadness. It's similar. The ship's going down and he's having this political debate with another character as the ship's going down and sinking or something. I forget now. And it's so ridiculous as a satire. I love it. That's what I'm going for. If you could have that moment when they get to space, they just forget about all the political bullshit, all the fake invisible borders of your identity because your ego's telling you to hate this person. Your ego built on the man in the TV box. I'm the man in the box. I don't talk about Alice in Chains a lot, but that's a great song. I'm the man in the box. I don't know if that's about television. I'm the man in the box. What does that mean, the song meaning? This is how my brain works, people. Man in the Box it's a protest song against mass media, so I wasn't that far off. Lane Staley talking about government controlling the public perception. That's what I'm talking about. You have to get outside of your fucking boxes, man. I'm not going to go Alex Jones and be like, people, you have to get out of your boxes. Go outside and breathe in the American freedom. I don't know how to preach like that. I'm not trying to do that. I don't preach to anyone because how do I have the legitimacy to preach to any fucking person? I can't even preach to homeless people. I'm living at home without any means of surviving on my own right now. I can't preach to anyone about how to live a good life, a successful vision for the future, because my opportunity is just as flat and non-existent as anybody else. But I think mine is more frustrating because I actually want to do something. If I just wanted to live off the government, live off my family, then I wouldn't be complaining, but that's not my vision for my life. I want to survive on my own accord, my own, as a man, as a human. I want to be able to survive on my own without anyone else being controlling in any way. And it just gives me more freedom to live the life that I want to live. And that's what America should still foster. It should encourage people like me who want to live outside the box. The man in the box. I don't want to be the man in the box. I've had enough of that life. Go listen to Alice in Chains, because now that song's in my head. This is how my brain works. Now I'm going to have this song in my head and that riff. The man in the box. Lyrics. I'll end by saying these lyrics. just like I started this talk, I'm just going to say all these lyrics and then end this because I'm talking too long again. This is Man in the Box by Alice in Chains from 1990. What better way? I'm connecting grunge music to this talk on hip hop because it's all connected. This could be a KRS-One song about media propaganda. Hopefully it's better than an REM song, whatever it's called. I'm the man in the box, buried in my shit. That's a hell of an opening line. All right, no more commentary. I'm just going to go through this and then end this talk. Thank you for listening. I'm the man in the box, buried in my shit. Won't you come and save me, save me? Feed my eyes, can you see them shut? Can you sew them shut? Jesus Christ, deny your maker. He who tries will be wasted. Feed my eyes, now you've sewn them shut. I'm the dog who gets beat. Shove my nose in shit. Won't you come and save me, save me? Feed my eyes, can you sew them shut? Jesus Christ, deny your maker. He who tries will be wasted. Feed my eyes, now you've sewn them shut. Feed my eyes, can you sew them shut? Jesus Christ, deny your maker. He who tries will be wasted. Feed my eyes, now you've sewn them shut.